Welcome to Get Better Naturally. I'm your host, Jason Atkinson, Bachelor of Science in Education, Natural and Life Sciences, health coach, nutritionist, and author of Live Like an Athlete. That's my new book that's available right now on Amazon.com/author/Jason Atkinson. That is my how-to guide in where I answer the burning question that everyone had for me when I lost 55 pounds, landed myself in the pages of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution success stories, and in Success Magazine, which is a national publication. The question everyone had for me was, how did you do it? Well, this is my simple, straightforward answer. Gives you all the best tips and techniques that I used and still use to this day to maintain a new healthy weight. So for those new members of the audience just getting started, let me go ahead and just kind of fill in the gaps for you a little bit, give you a little bit of my backstory. About 10 years ago, believe it or not, it's been that long, I actually weighed over 254 pounds. I was probably about 33% body fat. That's an estimate based on waist measurements. At the time, I had high blood pressure, and I just decided I'm not going to have high blood pressure. That is a no. I'm not going to do that. Fortunately, my doctor was straightforward enough. You know, I asked them what was the treatment. They said I could take medication or I could lose some weight. Well, the problem with my doctor's office and most doctors is that they did not have a plan on exactly how to make that happen. The medical community as a whole has been relying on a very vague idea for a long time now, and that idea is eat less, exercise more, okay? It sounds simple on the surface and it sounds like it would work, but the reality is the body is stubborn and you have to constantly change your program in order to continue getting results. Now, in the early stages, anything will work. The first 55 pounds, I did that in a little over a year. I did that following a bodybuilding style diet. I was eating small, frequent meals throughout the day, combination of protein, complex carbohydrates, and fairly low in fat. It was reduced calories, and it was a cleaner diet. So, you know, less processed food, less high calorie, low nutrient garbage like I had been eating before. And I made a real focused effort with the training. So I started off an hour a day roughly, maybe 45 minutes. But I had an exact time and I had an exact program. And I had to make some modifications in my schedule in order to really make that a priority. I said to my wife, you know, if we can push dinner back about 30 minutes from 6 o'clock to 6:30, I'll go to the gym after work. That way I'll come home. I've already done it. I don't have to worry about trying to go back out later and you know, complete a workout. I want to make that a priority. So in doing so, I also made the rest of my evening a priority to eat right, okay? After spending an hour at the gym exerting myself, there's no way I'm going to go home and get into chips and cookies and crackers and pizza and ice cream and all this other garbage like I used to and undo all of the great results that I had gotten from training, okay? So I'm not going to undo that. I'm not going to, you know, override all the benefit that I would have gotten from that. So that was really key to keeping me on track. So those were habits, sustainable habits that I continue to this day. Now, at this point in time, I have to train in the morning because my work schedule is such that sometimes I work later in the evening, but my business doesn't open until 9:30 in the morning. So I have time from when I still get up fairly early. I have time in the morning after I drop the kids off for school. I've got about an hour to train in the morning and still get to work on time. So these days, I train in the morning. It's not my preference, but that just goes to show it doesn't really matter exactly when you train. It's more about the amount of intensity and effort that you bring to your training and the focus and the goal that you have in mind. Some people will take one tiny little component, like you have to train in the morning. It has to be fasted workout. There's no other way. You just have to. They'll take that one little facet and just beat it to death. But it's not true. I got great results training in the evening after having several meals throughout the day and got great results. So, it's energy balance at the end of the day, yes, but tweaking those variables, tweaking the macronutrients and the amount of time spent training and the type of training has really paid off big in the long run. So kind of jump back into my time stream a little bit here. That worked great for the first year or two. I was actually a full-time student while I was losing the initial weight, and I was earning a bachelor's degree in science, or in education, and science was my major. So after that, I taught briefly in the classroom human anatomy, physiology, and biology. Those were for high school students who were dual enrollment. So some of them were medical occupations majors, so the human anatomy and physiology was tailored towards the college level course since they were obtaining college credit. I also taught at a private Christian school during the summer for 6 years in a gifted and accelerated program in sciences, the Youth University College for Kids program. I did that. I was the department head for science for 6 years doing that. After graduating and going into my first full-time classroom position, I absolutely hated teaching in the public school system. My hat's off to anybody who can do that profession day in and day out for any length of time. The statistics show that most people who become teachers are either in their first year, second year, and they're going to leave the classroom or become an administrator, or they're in their final year or two in the classroom about to retire, just holding on for dear life. So that's the state of the profession of education when it comes to teachers. They are grossly underpaid, overworked, and a lot of the standards don't really apply in the real world, but we just have bureaucrats running the show, and nothing there is tailored towards learning or teaching. The problem is, like I said, I worked 5 long years to obtain this degree in order to become certified to do this. I love science. I love teaching. But I did not love teaching science in a public school classroom. So I left the classroom. I had some friends who owned a nutrition center, and I was actually buying my supplements for them while I was losing the weight. So after I got out of the classroom, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I'd spent all this time and money preparing for education. That didn't pan out. And they said, why don't you come in and work on the weekends? We need someone who can help teach some weight loss classes. So I went in, I started, I developed a speech to sort of tell people what I had done and how I had done it, what were some of the key supplements that I used, some of my tips and techniques. And I found that I actually loved it, that I was able to use the science background, the teaching background in a new way that I had never thought of before. So I obtained the credentials to become a health coach. And I used all that information from the lectures and from my social media posts and blog posts and things that I was doing at the time. And I put all that information together into a book, which is Live Like an Athlete. And like I said, that's available. There's a link in my bio wherever you're watching this. And you can pick up a copy relatively inexpensively. It's also available as an ebook, super low price if you do it as a Kindle edition, and you can just read that on your iPad or any digital device, laptop, desktop, cell phone, whatever. But that allowed me to make the connections that I needed to actually operate my own commercial nutrition center, which is what I do as a day job right now. So when you hear me referring to some of my clients, those are people who come into my nutrition center during the course of the workday. And the health coaching that I do online, I've sort of put on the back burner, but I'm thinking about, ramping that back up. I want to start putting out some more content, but I feel like the podcasting is very time consuming, and in the long run it's like a second job or a third job that's just not paying back dividends equal to the amount of time and effort that I'm putting into it. So I've got some projects in the works, but this is a step for me right now. I'm just trying to start putting some more content out there. Got a lot of ideas floating around in here that I want to share with you, the audience, the reader, the listener, the viewer, to help you to improve. This is free information, and the only sponsorship I've really got going right now, like I said, is my own publication. If you get any value from anything that I share online, if you'd pick up a copy of my book or send a link to someone else to order a copy, that would really help me out, because I'm not relying on commercial sponsorships. I've done a few of those in the past, but I feel like the market is just flooded with that. A lot of it is from nutrition supplements, and like I said, I work in the nutrition supplement world as my day job. So the last thing I want to do when I clock out is clock in, so to speak, here, and start talking about supplements to this audience. I'd like to share more valuable information with this audience that goes beyond just taking supplements. Well, supplements do have their place in a solid program, but you've got to get all the lifestyle factors lined up properly. The training has to be in place, the nutrition has to be in place, the mindset, the social support network, all those keys that I mentioned earlier, and all those things are found in my book. Those are all, key points that I address in the book, how to get all that stuff lined up just right so that you can achieve your goal. But the last thing we want is for the nutrition industry to become a mirror image of the pharmaceutical industry. That is really the idea behind Get Better Naturally, is that we should be able to reverse chronic so-called diseases, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, high cholesterol, etc., known as metabolic syndrome. We should be able to address that through lifestyle factors, through training and nutrition and supplementation, not just relying on pharmaceutical drugs to mask the symptoms. I'm very passionate about that. I believe, if someone honestly needs a life-saving medication, yes, they should take that, but not for something that's caused by lifestyle issues. A lot of times what happens with pharmaceuticals is they're like a Band-Aid to cover up the lifestyle factors that are out of whack, and just enable someone to continue doing that and just treat the symptoms. Most pharmaceutical drugs create more side effects than they actually have benefits. A little quick story, I'm going to wrap this up. A coworker of mine years ago had high blood pressure, and I came to work one day and I noticed in the trash can he had thrown all together an empty blood pressure medication bottle, an empty French fry carton, and an empty cigarette pack. And I looked at it and I thought, what's wrong with this picture? If you didn't have the French fries and the cigarettes, you wouldn't need the high blood pressure medication. And that's really, sadly, the state of modern medicine in this day and age, is that it just enables people to continue unhealthy behaviors. And we want to address, in health coaching, we want to address the underlying issue. What is the root cause? How can this behavior be altered? How can we provide a healthy alternative that meets the original intention of the unhealthy behavior without creating the unhealthy side effects? So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the video. Share a link, like it, love it, send it somewhere with someone you love, and I'll be back later with more videos. Thanks for listening.